Hi guys, and welcome back to my C++ for game development series. And in this part we will be taking a look at maps. Now in Unreal Engine, when you actually create a map, you create an unordered map basically. The type which you use is tmap in Unreal Engine, but since we are talking about the standard template library over here, the one you use is unordered map, and I will get to what an unordered map is and as well as how you use it. Our main focus is on the application. So first of all, you will need to include this header called unordered map. So hash include unordered map. Now a map is basically a key value pair, a collection of key value pairs. So your key is going to stay unique and your value can be anything. So for example, let's say you wanted to, track scores of various players. You could do something like this. So let me just go ahead and include string. So hash include string. Now I can go ahead and I'll just use the std namespace. So using namespace std. And now what I can do is I can create a string and let's just call it name. And let's say for example we have score. So let's say it's an integer. So int score. And what if you had 10 players, let's say. So scores, let's just create a static array of size 10. Names of size 10 again. Now it would obviously not be, the most intuitive way to map your names and scores as array indexes. So you'd have the first element of names and first element of scores be mapped to each other. So that's how you'd basically do it with two arrays. So let's say for example, names of 0 equals, let's say Jake. And now what we can do is we can do scores of 0 equals 100. This is fine. So you'd say that the corresponding indexes are mapped to each other. But what if you could use this, the name, as the identifier? So that's what map is going to allow us to do. Now let's go ahead and create one. So just type in unordered map. And in the template argument we give the types. So the first one will be the string. So we'll keep the name. You could have any sort of identifier over here. Obviously I'm assuming that no two names are equal over here. If there are two equal names, you would use something known as a multi-map. But again, we are not going to be getting into that. You would rarely use it. And generally you would use another identifier rather than a name to store things. But just as an example, I will be using the name. So string and int, these are the types of our maps. And let's call it score map. Now what we are going to do is we are going to initialize it. Now in order to add elements to a map, you use a function known as insert. So there are three functions which you should be knowing in maps. Those are insert, so score map dot insert, and it actually takes in a pair. So the way you'd insert a pair is by using std make pair. So make pair, and you can give two values. So the first one is going to be your name. So let's say Jake, and the second one is going to be 100. So we have made a pair, Jake and 100. And now we can actually go ahead and print it using a range based for loop. So for, so we can say item in our map, and over here we can give our score map. So it's very easy to iterate through maps using a range based for loop. Now if you observe item, it returns a pair and you will need to get the value from it. So let's go ahead and print it out. Item dot first, that is going to be the key, and let's go ahead and give a tab space, and let's go ahead and get the value of the item. Item dot second, which will be the value, and let's go ahead and end the line over there. Let's go ahead and run this. Now as you can see, we get Jake and 100. Now there is a more elegant way to access individual elements, and this is the main advantage of a map. Rather than referring to it by indexes which are integers, what you can do is you can do something like this. So I'm going to keep this print and I'll go ahead and print out something else here. What if I do score map and in the square bracket I type in Jake rather than an index. So if I were to go ahead and press play, as you can see we get 100. So this is how you can access values in a map. If you know the key, you can access the value. It's like saying find the password of the user Jake, something like that. So in this case it's a score, so it's like find the score of the person Jake. That's what we are basically doing over here. And obviously you can delete this entry. So you can do something like score map dot erase, and you can go ahead and give the key to erase, so in double quotation. So Jake is what you want to erase. And now if you were to go ahead and run this loop again, and just make sure you don't actually print out something that's not valid, you would see that nothing gets printed after 100 because we erased Jake. Another thing which you might want to use is the size of the map. Now once we inserted it, obviously there's one element, you can go ahead and print out the size of the map. So score map dot size. This is the same as your std vector, so the number of elements in the map. And by number of elements we mean the number of key value pairs, and as you can see we got one. So there is one key value pair in this map. So that is what we mean by score map dot size equals 1. That's what we basically mean. Now what if this actually does not exist? Now there is one other function which I do want to brief about, which you will use. That is the find function. It's the exact same in Unreal Engine as well. So if you were to go ahead and do score map dot find, and if you were to look at the arguments, you would see that you actually get a string which is the key. And let's go ahead and find Jake. And let's go ahead and actually print it out. So this actually returns an iterator, and the way you can actually use it is you can go ahead and use the pointer operator, and you can grab in second. Second is going to be a value again. So this is how it will be. But you would notice one thing, if you were to go ahead and type in something which does not exist, if I were to do something like this, as you can see, we are going to get an exception over here. Now the reason is this actually does not exist and we accessed something which does not belong to our memory. This is the same thing again. So what we can do is we can use the ternary operator over here. So the ternary operator pretty much works like an if condition. So I'll show you guys both the ternary operator as well as the if condition way of doing it. So what you can do is we can go ahead and do this check. If it is equal to score map dot end, which means we did not find our element. So in this case we are going to print not found. And if we did find it, we are just going to print score map dot find. So we'll have this and we are going to get second. So this is another way in which you can handle this. So in order to fix this, we'll just go ahead and convert the type, because you're returning different types in this branch as well as this branch. So we can do to string, and we can go ahead and just wrap that up, and this should work. As you can see, we get not found. However, if we just go ahead and type in Jake, let's go ahead and end line over here. If I were to type in Jake and change this to Jake over here as well, we get Jake printed, or rather we get the value of Jake printed. If we type in first, we'll get Jake printed. So this is how you'd go about using the find function. I'll just do a quick, if function use case of this. So if, what we are going to do is we are going to find, so score map dot find. we will try to find Jake again, and if it is equal to the end of the map, which means we did not find it, score map dot end. What we can do in this case is we can go ahead and tell not found, and if otherwise we are going to go ahead and print the value. So what we can do is we can copy this over, paste this in. So we're going to put that in our cout statement, and what we can do is we can get the second one. So as you can see, we will get 100 printed once again. So that's basically it, guys. That's about how you would go about using maps. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video and learn something new, make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. Goodbye.